Hey guys, we are back with Messy on Purpose, and I have another great guest with me today. So I have Danielle Ford, who has been through some stuff, right?
Say
And
that.
she has really embraced that and turned it into something special, which we're going to share with you all today. So if you want to start by introducing yourself, just kind of giving a little background, and then we'll kind of start from the beginning and work our way up.
All right. There's a lot of things I could say, but to keep it on kind of on track, right now I currently serve on the Nevada State Board of Education, and that's because I served for 4 years on the Clark County School District. Then I ran for state board. Before that, I was still am a mom, single mom of two, but I was not a politician. I was a marketer, business owner, serial entrepreneur, multi passionate, hot mess, basically. And, through a lot of things that I saw and learned, I got really interested in the school district and education in general. And so I put my name in to run for office. And that is really where things went kind of crazy because I've learned a lot since then. That was 7 years ago. And the things that I have witnessed and some of my, beliefs that have changed around it is really why I like to come on podcasts and whatnot that aren't political and talk to regular people about it because there's a lot of things in government that I feel like people need to know about. And we need more people running for office. Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to do that job. Nobody wants to do that
Get
job. That
it?
is what it comes to.
I get it. I get it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much. I love the concept. I kind of embrace the hot mess brand. And so when I saw, this podcast, I was like, messy on purpose. Yeah, I'll just say it was on purpose. That's what I'll do, and it works perfectly. So thank you for creating this and holding space for people like me to share stories.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive in and kind of learn more about you and kind of see what we can give the audience when it comes to Messy on Purpose. Because, so diving in a little bit to the beginning times when before you like ran for our office, like what led up to that? Like your experience before that? Because you're a mom of two, obviously running for the school board, there was something there that was like personal that made you do that.
So when I ran for the school board, I would even tell people, they'd be like, "Why you?" And first of all, I didn't even graduate high school. So the fact that I decided to run for the fifth largest district in the country, by the way, the school board was like offensive to a lot of people. And that was really what they came at me with, like, you didn't even graduate. And I'm like, yeah, I know the system failed me. Who better than to go in and try to make changes from the inside than somebody that the system did not work for?
That's the one thing they could find, like
I
the
mean, there were a
one
lot of
thing.
things. There was a news report. It was too sexy for the school board.
Oh my god.
And it was Darcy Spears, the investigative journalist who does like hard hitting investigations, news reports into like dirty dining establishments and political. We've since become friends, but I learned that there's people who decide what stories are going to be ran, and they know that certain images can be presented to the masses to, shift their vote. And this was before the primary, before the general election. So I had placed first in the primary. Okay. When I first signed up to run, I was just like following my intuition, and I still am pretty much. But then in hindsight, I always realize when I really look back and I'm like, oh, there were so many things that were leading up to it that made my intuition be that. So anyway, when I decided to run, I didn't know much about the school board or politics or government or anything. And there were 9 people in my race. So for the primary election, it brings it down to 2. That's in June. And everybody just ignored me. It's like that quote, like first they ignore you and then they fight you and all that. They ignored me. They were like, oh, that's cute that you're running, good job. And I would just show up kind of casual and unconventional and talk about my kids. And everybody else had their perfect talking points and tons of money. And then I placed first out of 9. So that's when everything changed. And I was no longer the one they were ignoring. They were like coming after me with any type of random hit piece they could to get voters to
So
not vote for me.
what made you stand out that made you in that number one spot?
I'll tell you right now, I've been doing marketing and business since I was 22. So I dropped out of high school. And what people don't ask later on is, why? And it's because I was working. I was raising my siblings, it just wasn't working for me. I was in AP classes. I had passed my proficiencies. I have a high IQ. I, passed, got my GED the next week, signed up for beauty school. Got my aesthetic license the same week that my friends got their high school diploma. Started a career, and when I was 22, I opened a skincare studio. Then I was marketing that. So at 22 is when I really started learning marketing. And I did that, and I started an organization for young moms because I also became a teen parent at 18, got married, had a second child, became a military wife. He went to Iraq. He came back a different person, got divorced. He's been out of the picture since then. Truly single mom, the whole time. And it was like, I don't know, it was just like, I learned so much along the way, and I learned from my Young Moms Club, like what people actually want and what kind of questions, they have. And I was really involved in my kids' education. So I learned firsthand, what families want and what school should actually be. So truly, I just used my marketing knowledge and my firsthand experience with that, talking to actual humans, not sound bites, not the campaign manager gave you the 3 points to stick with, going into places and spaces that seem scary, because maybe they don't agree with you politically, but that doesn't matter because education is supposed to be nonpartisan regardless. And we're supposed to find common ground. And at the end of the day, all kids are the same as far as how they can be educated, what they deserve. Sorry. And so it really was.
She keeps licking.
No, she's so sweet. Little baby.
Sorry, my dog.
It's a baby. No, it really was just like using social media, micro-targeted ads, being bold with my messaging, not trying to look for a fight, but like also not backing down, not like tiptoeing or being vanilla, and people will respond to that. And I could see it the whole time during the both elections, because there's the primary and then the general. I'm looking at the back end of my account going, I'm either coming in first or last for the first one because I know that I'm being seen by everybody. They either like me or they don't like me, but getting in front of everybody wasn't the problem. And then when I basically realized I was going to win, and my intuition, like I saw myself in the seat, and people would always go, why are you running, or this and that? And I'm like, I don't know, dude, like take it up with my intuition because it's telling me to do this. I don't know why. But then I look back and I'm like, oh, okay, I was on the PTO and I saw so many issues with vendors. And, I learned so much through my Young Moms Club work about the sex ed curriculum and things like that. And it kind of all these like little breadcrumbs are, I think, why, even though I didn't have like the actual reason, the experience, the credentials to do it, I knew that I had what it would take to be in that role. So it really was just trusting myself.
What was the hardest part of starting it all?
I don't know. It wasn't that hard.
It just kind of came natural to you?
I think I've always said this, like, my biggest superpower and also weakness is that I literally do not care what anyone thinks, to an extent that sometimes I wish I did care. Because I can
relate to that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if I fail. I don't care if I look stupid. And that's probably because of history, and I've actually failed and looked stupid and, struggled my whole life with stuff. So there's really not much that, like, you could bring at me that if the worst possible outcome happened, I would be upset by it. I'm just kind of like, all right, we doing that now? It didn't work out. Let's move on.
Or adjust and then retry.
Try again, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how many people won't even try.
Yeah, and actually with the campaign, with the first election, because I've now won 2 elections, I've done a lot of personal development work my whole life since I was, my teens. And so I've read all the popular books and mindset stuff, and it really was, I knew going in that I had to protect my mindset the whole time, and that I could figure out all the details and everything else was just logistics. But I had to, know that you have to walk alone through things, and people are going to misunderstand you, and you're going to take the hit for stuff, and you're going to make the wrong decision sometimes, and you have to be able to say either sorry or I'm not sorry, because I was working with the best information I had at the time, and just keep going on. So I knew that, and so as it came, I was prepared, so it didn't really faze me. So I would say for anyone running for office or doing anything big like that, just make your mindset your number one priority.
Have that in check first. Do the work first.
And the whole time through, every day, check in with a few things you need to get aligned with or whatever, and continue on.
What were some of the things in like high school, your teen years that made you start focusing on that? Because that's not something I personally focused on until like later in my 20s because I didn't know I needed to, right?
Sure. I just used to go to the library all the time. Like I was just like a library kid, and I would go there in the summers, and I just pick up books and I'll read whatever, and then I think I just started realizing like what made me feel good, and a lot of them were just like, typical self-developments. I see you have Atomic Habits. It's a great book. They have a great podcast too. And things like that. I guess it was probably more my early 20s when I was doing the marketing stuff that I really got way more into the personal development. So it's probably when I was like 20, 21. And I had, left my husband in the middle of the night, basically, when we were living in Colorado. Again, that's a whole story, but he came back from Iraq like a different person than I married. We were high school sweethearts.
Are you from Colorado?
I'm from here. I was born and raised here.
Okay.
Born and raised here. We were high school sweethearts. His family became my family. We were together for years before I got pregnant at 17. And then that's when I, dropped out, and I was like, I need to do something so I have a career. And then I went to esthetician school. I was pregnant and worked, as a hostess, and he worked as a busboy at the same restaurant. And then he joined the military. We moved to Colorado Springs for a year, and I was pregnant with my second kid at this time. But yeah, it was, basically me then starting over. He came back, he was abusive. I gave a TED talk in my mid-20s about this, and I talked about it. And that was when I was doing more of my Young Moms Club stuff. But I say, like, I did all the things right. Like, became a teen parent, and now there's a stereotype and the judgment, and it's like, well, I'm going to show you, and we're going to get married, we're going to have our little family and have a second kid, and then cheating happened on his part, adultery, emotional, physical abuse, and it's like we went to marriage counseling because that's what you do, you work it out and you stick with your man and blah blah blah. Like, I was a different person then, in the sense that my dream at that time was to be like, have a big family. And I was now on my second kid, but we wanted 4. And I was like the trope of like barefoot in the kitchen, pregnant, cooking and sponge painting the walls like country style, and like shining his class 6s or whatever shoes. And it just got so bad that I literally packed up my kids in my car when they were like 1 and 2 and drove back to Vegas and started over. And that's when I like forced myself to get strong. And I got a job, first I was serving, and then I was doing some spokes modeling, and then I got a job apprenticing and building my clientele, and then I opened a brick and mortar skin studio here in town. I did that for like 6 years before closing it down and doing marketing online full time.
That's an adventure. That's a lot to digest.
And that's like the early life. That's not even like the stuff recently, because I'm almost 40 now, and like my kids are both graduated and on their own, and like I'm just like, I don't even know what to do now, because my whole life has been single mom and like all their activities and Cub Scouts and dance and homework and birthday parties, and now I'm like, I guess I'll just fix the education system.
When it comes to like that transition, like, was it pretty easy because you tried to fix things and you knew there was no fixing it? Or like what made you just pack up and go? What was the final straw? Because a lot of people in those situations struggle leaving, right? The fear of being alone, the fear of doing it on your own, especially with 2 kids.
I literally realized one day, after several experiences where I would call the military police, and then things would get like swept under the rug and stuff wouldn't get reported to the actual police. And I literally was like, okay, one of us is going to end up in jail and the other one is going to end up dead. And I don't really feel like sitting in jail because I'm going to murder him. Okay. Literally. And like, there was a time where I literally pulled like 10 knives on him at one time. And then he called the police on me. And then they were like, he's telling us that you pulled a knife on him. I'm like, no, I pulled 10 knives on him. And they were like, good for you. I mean, that's the extent that it got to. like insane
Like they knew
stuff.
you at that point.
We became friends. He came back a different person that I literally didn't recognize anymore, and he developed a drinking problem, and he was like became obsessed with me, but then also would like be really irresponsible and he was like trying to fix the marriage but not really. He was like being very controlling and locking me out of the house and cutting up my credit cards, just all this stuff. And he would trap me physically. Like he would trap me in our bedroom and say, you can't go anywhere, and take my car keys. And where would I go? Because I had a brand newborn, and a 1-year-old. So it's not like I'd go anywhere. I'm in Colorado.
You didn't have any like family
Don't know
or anything,
anybody.
right?
I moved there by myself. And so that was very good. That was the most dramatic, craziest, just chaotic time in my life. And I've had many chaotic moments in my life. That was like an absolute S show. I don't know if you can cuss on this podcast or not. It was an S show for sure.
I try not to,
Okay,
and I don't have to bleep it out, but if it's
I
there,
feel and you don't have to put the explicit little check mark or whatever. No, and that was like, there was no choice. I was like, I'm going to end up in jail, and my kids are not going to have a parent, and anything is better than this. And truly, like, I guess I just had faith in my ability to go figure it out all the time.
And you haven't talked to him since?
Then he ended up, I still don't know. I've been putting the pieces together actually recently since like my kids got older. So he ended up getting discharged for his drinking problems and stuff, and he ended up trying to commit suicide. And then he was threatening to kill me and all these things. And so, but that was like that wasn't normal for him. And then he ended up coming back to Vegas, and we started the divorce process, and we were fine. Now he was still like trying to get back with me. I was like, no. That was like months where he would have the kids for a couple of days a week, and that maybe lasted like 3 months or so with like a temporary court order. And then he started acting really weird, and I didn't know at the time, like, what is happening? I would go pick up the kids, and he would be like kind of chasing after me in the car, and like talking really fast and demanding that I read this new book, and it's really good. It's going to change my life. And he realized that he solved gravity. And Danielle, do you know that in 2012 the world is going to end, and I'm going to be the leader, and I want you there with me, like as my queen. And like then I realized he was using drugs, and so I took him back to court and had him drug tested, an emergency drug test, and he popped for meth. And that's when he started thinking he was Jesus, seeing golden gooses, geese, seeing demons, punching people because they're taken over by demons. Crazy stuff.
So he completely lost it.
Completely then he turned on me and his mom. And regardless of his like issues, the two things he was always like so solid about were like me and his mom. Like, you don't mess with us. And then he just like didn't care. And so I went to court against him and an attorney, and I won primary and legal and physical custody. And it was like pending him ever getting a clean drug test and trying to get his rights back. And then I spent the next, 16 years thinking that was going to happen all the time. Every year, am I going to get served to, go back to court with him? But that never happened because he never got clean, and he's been homeless in many states since then, like literally like in homeless camps, like sleeping on park benches.
So sad.
I know. And so no, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him in 16 years or so. And so his family, like I always say, like I got his family in the divorce, but they became my family when I was a teenager, then, and I actually knew some of his sisters before I knew him because we went to school together. And so they've been like my family, and then my family and them are family. And now my kids are, 19 and 21. And so they're tight with them. So I'll hear things here and there. And that's how I know that like he is in a new state, or he's been in and out of jail. He's had mental breakdowns. So I truly don't know if like something happened in Iraq that caused PTSD, that caused him to self-medicate with drugs, or if he developed some sort of psychosis, like schizophrenia. Like, I don't know. And in the last couple of years, I've had these realizations, right? And like I've been journaling about it. I realized that like I spent all that time from when I got, custody of my kids, no child support, nothing. I was just like, get out of here. Just being like hyper vigilant and doing everything to like make sure he couldn't come and ruin my life. And thinking like, oh, that's not the kind of guy I want to date. So I would date, different types of men that are like had it all together and were like very professional and, really thinking like, did a lot more self help and stuff, thinking like, oh, love is a decision as much as a feeling and blah, blah, blah. Had some relationships, some good ones, some terrible ones. But it was really when when I realized, oh, my kids are both 18 and he can't do anything to me, that I started thinking back to it and I'm like, actually, I haven't really been in a relationship where I cared about somebody since him. Like, truly, like I did, but it wasn't like that passion like we had. He was like my like soulmate. We were like that cute couple. And I think that I like have just had so many like realizations since then, and I really should have been like, again, not working on that. I would have probably experienced better relationships, and I wouldn't have gone through a lot of the drama and trauma and chaos that I did with some other men if I had realized that and done the work earlier. So it's like on one hand, it's like, well, you can't change what you didn't know.
Right.
But also it's really like helpful knowing that going forward, and just like I truly feel like more at peace because he's out of the picture. But I also feel like I lost my husband, like he died, and
Because he almost did as a person.
or like his soul, everything that
Yeah.
made him him and that was us was gone, but there was no like grieving, there was just like fighting him.
You never let it actually process.
Yeah, until like 20 years later, and then I'm like, oh. And then I actually have carried around like his like letters. We used to write letters to each other for the year he was in Iraq. And I just have this like big envelope full of them. I didn't even like look at them for like 20 years. I only did like last year, and that was really healing for me, just to be able to be like, okay, this is like you're safe, and you're not escaping this person anymore, and also, wow, dang, you actually really loved this guy. Like whoever this was isn't who you were being in these other relationships. And then I'm like, actually, if I ever get into another relationship, which who knows, I want it to be more that, just like young love type of carnal chemistry than like the perfect person that you're like trying to match on.
Like checking the boxes. Yeah, you
Yeah.
want somebody that you vibe with, that like it's just natural.
100. Like we could just sit there and talk for hours and hours and hours and never get bored of each other. Yeah. So I don't even know what your question was.
I don't even remember what my question was.
That's that.
So you moved here. You started basically working for yourself, right? And then so you went right into working for yourself, right? You've always kind of been like an entrepreneurial.
I have been always entrepreneurial, but I did, I did the time. I worked at the spas and salons and apprenticing and like working commission before so then I started learning like business, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
It's a good book.
When I was 21. Yeah, and so then I grasped the concept of corporations, and I learned I just read books, and learn things, and I read the book Incorporate Yourself, and I learned about S corps and LLCs, and so I opened my the E-Myth Revisited is an amazing book about like franchising, and so I opened the skincare studio in the way that you design a franchise, and as a corporation with the intention of like possibly selling the methodology to other kind of solopreneur estheticians. Even though I had some employees, I had like 2 other employees. It was a small thing, so it was going to be like small franchising. But really, I did that for several years. But it was really hard. Both my kids were young. They were in elementary school. I get the call like, your daughter threw up on your son, so pick one of them up and the other one needs new clothes. And I'd have like a client that was coming in and have to, and then I was learning how to market that. So this was 2009, 2010. YouTube was like barely starting, and I was using YouTube to market it. And so I learned how to do that. I built my own website, started getting into that. I was showing like how to eyebrow wax, how to do vitamin C facials. And then what I learned from that is that I was attracting a lot of other estheticians across the country. And, this is like, again, the wild, wild west of like video marketing and social media. And I'm just like trying to figure it out. but I'm not really attracting a whole lot of clients, but I'm getting a lot of likes on my videos and views. And so I started thinking like, oh, I think I need to dive into online marketing and learn everything and be able to like work from home. So I shut down my business kind of like over a weekend. I just made a decision, even though it was like weighing on me for a long time. I mean, all my equipment, everything, I just like sold it to a different esthetician, walked away, told my clients, sorry, figure out someone else to wax your back. Like, and I dove into learning everything: web design, videography, graphic design, social media, SEO, just everything. And I built my blog and my website, and I launched Young Moms Club. And so that was the concept at that point. I was, 26 or so at this point, and I was like, I want to build a space where young women who are, or young moms get the skills that they need to be successful in life that they are actually going to miss because they are focused now on how do you take care of a newborn, diapers, formula, and the things that most women learn in their late teens to early 20s: financial literacy, communication, strategies, self-care, law of attraction, goal setting, all these things, health, they're not learning those things. And so I ended up starting a YouTube channel and a in-person and virtual meetup, and that grew to like 20,000 members internationally. And again, this was like maybe 15 years ago. And so one of the videos for that, I did a lot of videos, but I would research what search terms were going to rank. So for instance, then I wanted to talk about how to be confident, for instance. Well, nobody's like actually looking for that, especially not young moms. So the video would be how to be sexy. So, then I'd have a thumbnail, like an eye-catching thumbnail, whatever, and how to be sexy. And then it's like, the secret to sexiness is confidence. Okay, girls. And so that's what they investigated me for. Too sexy for the school board?
Oh.
My freaking video that I'm empowering teen moms to have confidence in themselves.
And like that's and they target like the thumbnail, not the video itself, because the video itself would justify what that was for.
So I get the call from Darcy Spears as producer, and they're like, we want to interview you about your running for school board. I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, this must be single mom, wins primary election, CCSD student, and parent of 2 students, insiders, running for office. No, I'm like, what is that? What the topic is? They go, no, it's your video, how to be sexy. So I ended up like live streaming. I was like live streaming during my campaign and everything. And I'm like, okay, guys, Darcy Spears is going to be interviewing me. This is the topic. What do you think I should do? What should I say? So I ended up telling them, you could do the interview, but I'm recording the whole thing as well, because I know how you'll mix it up and do sound bites and everything. And so we had this like hour-long conversation. And in the conversation, it went into, I told my side of it. I'm like, it's about empowerment. Everybody wants to get a partner. Women want to look sexy. That's what it is. And then they ended up, that was the one and only time they ever put an entire hour-long video on their like news report. So she was really sweet afterwards. She was like, yeah, I don't know why my editor wanted this story, but that's what they wanted me to do. So I'm going to try to, show both sides or whatever. And I'm like, I appreciate that. But if you don't, I have my recording too, So then they turned it into like, they did mention my TED Talk, and they did put some of the stuff that I said, but it was really, the angle was supposed to be like a hit piece against me, but I kind of spun it. So
you made it so they couldn't do that.
And that is, I already kind of like learned this before, but I, always tell the story first so that you can set the tone, set the narrative, give your side of it first, tell the truth. You don't always have to say you don't have to say that you pulled 10 knives on your husband if you don't want to. But,
like, I'm not going to pull that to make you look bad. Like,
oh, no, you can leave it. I don't care. I'm proud of you.
Oh, I meant like I won't take that clip like, I did this. Like,
that's going to be the one sound bite. You don't have to say that.
I might send it to you for giggles, but...
Or put them all together in a compilation, like those, what is it, like... Unsolved Mysteries, where the guy's like, do you ever think about the pyramids? And he's like going there.
Yeah.
Random topic. No, like really you have to tell your truth first, and whatever that truth is to you. Like I say, you don't have to tell people everything, but the things that you say need to be the truth, you know? And who cares what people think? People are going to make judgments regardless, but they're going to be putting their experience and their lens onto it. So literally nobody can say anything about you if you're like, I know, I already said that. Like now imagine if a news report came out and said, Danielle pulled 10 knives on her husband. I'd be like, I literally told you that. Like
I've already told this story. Please look at this.
Yeah, like give me credit for this. Like it's not a secret. You can't win against me or whatever. So
that's probably a big thing in like the public eye, right? Like just be open and honest, because no matter what happened, if you don't tell the story, someone else will, and it won't be through the lens you want it to be.
That is exactly it. And that's why I do my podcast, Unraveling Education, now. And I'm trying to tell my side of the story. And I'm trying to let everybody learn it in the exact order that I learned it, and my thought processes, because I could come here and be like, oh, here's what's wrong with education. These companies are doing blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I believe you, but it's not really clicking. But if you hear like, okay, we had this training and then this company came in and they were teaching us this one thing. And then later on I was researching this and I learned that they actually own this, whatever, like now you get it. And I'm also I'm not saying this guy's bad. I'm not saying their intent. I'm literally only telling my story and how I put pieces together in my thought process, and I could be missing information or something, but no one can say I'm lying.
Right. You're telling the facts in your own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I really honestly like storytelling, and owning your truth and your voice is what I try to do and what I try to live, because I really think that we need more people doing that. Because it's the only way we're going to survive. Because we need more people like literally running for office and choosing to go in and fix problems, and not just be bought out by the companies and all sorts of crazy stuff that happens when you put your name in. So I'm very like, I'm neurodivergent, and I don't always pick up on social cues, right? And so there was a portion several months after I won my first election where people would reach out to me and want to have coffee or this or that. And I can like, again, look back and they'll be like, oh, yeah, we do all this stuff and we own these hotels and we're so excited for you and your role and you have so many great ideas. Let me know however I can support you in the future. We have your back. And I'm like, thanks so much. Yeah, I'll let you know. And then later I'm like, oh, I think that's when I was supposed to be like, really? Well, I could use a nice big check or like a consulting job for something that I never even show up for, but you pay me anyway. And, it's like there's so much of that going on that we really need like messy people to just on purpose go in there and speak their truth, learn things, and tell other people. And that's what government is supposed to be, and government is not that currently.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not even close. And it's supposed to be ran by the people, right? And a lot are definitely bought off in some way, shape, or form.
It's like this, even for me to get crap like, oh, who are you? You dropped out of high school, whatever. You're a single mom. You're struggling, whatever. It's actually whatever the most general, true representation of the people that elect you. That's like the best person to be in office. Not the person with the most credentials or the most education or the most money. That's not what it's supposed to be.
How are they relatable? They're not relatable to your average person. Your average person is the middle and the lower class.
Right. But even those people, even voters, I'm telling you, like nothing against the voters. It's kind of like you get brainwashed, because average voters will ask me those questions. Well, so-and-so, your opponent, makes this much a year or has done this, this, and that. I'm like, yeah, I know. I know what you're going through more than they do. Why aren't you like gung-ho to vote for me?
Yeah, they make X amount, which means that they're not struggling when all of us are struggling.
100. Like they don't know what is really going on with renting.
When was the last time most of them have been in a grocery store?
Totally. They don't know what it's like to live in a food desert. I mean, in a school, they talk about schools. When did you go to a school, into a classroom, and see that they're so overcrowded that the teacher can't get through the material, yet you're going to come over here and make these mandates and rules and laws punishing schools and saying that they're not succeeding. But you're truly the one not funding them, not giving the resources we need, and then trying to punish everybody. And you haven't set foot in it, and you haven't spent any actual time in. When you do set foot in it, you bring your camera crew. Like,
because it's
ew.
a show.
Yes.
It's a scripted show.
It's PR. Yeah, it just upsets me a lot. Yeah.
Which it's crazy to me that I think people are waking up a little bit. I do think they're waking up. I feel like we've been like behind this lens for so long, and people are just kind of going through the motions. Mm-hmm. But I do think like after everything in COVID and like kind of just moving past 2020 and like where we're at now and where the economy is at, I do think people are starting to wake up and starting to see things through a more wider lens.
But they're still like just so uninformed, and this isn't like talking bad about the people. It's by design. Like, let me ask you a question. I'm not trying to like gotcha.
Oh, I'm probably not informed. I will tell you.
If you were like right now, you go, you know what? I'm going to run for Senate. Let's say you decided. What do you think you do now to run for Senate?
I have absolutely no idea.
Right. I mean,
not a clue.
I don't know either. I mean, just now imagine. Do you think it's like, is there a fee? Do you think you have to go interview? Do you think you like where, when, what would you do?
I don't even know how you
have
start.
No idea,
like, I
right?
literally have no idea how you even, like, how you sign up or whatever it is, whatever the process is. Like, do you have to, like, be behind certain people to get in? Like, what does that take?
Let me tell you what it takes, okay? Every other year, so on the even number years, so next year in 2006, in March, the first 2 weeks of March, somewhere in that first Monday through Friday and then the next Monday through Friday, the government center on Charleston is open, and you walk in there, and it's really easy, and there's the arrows. You walk in, and you give your ID, and you pay the fee that is different depending on the seat, anywhere between $30 and like $200, but like school board's $30. And you go, here's my ID, here's my $30. You fill out one little form on the computer that says your address or whatever, and now your name goes on the ballot. And you're now in that, then you become a candidate for the primary election in June, which most people don't vote in primary elections, and they really should. It's really important, but that's another thing.
She can rant about that after this.
So the primary election brings down the runoff to the top two. So you could have 2 people in the primary election or 500, it wouldn't matter. And the top 2 that get the most votes for that seat go to the November election. So that's every other year, even when there's no presidential election. It's like the off presidential, where it's like the governor is that race. And so any even year in March, you walk into the government center and you give them about $50 and your driver's license, and now you're a political candidate. Now, why doesn't the news report that? Hey guys, happy Friday. Just want to remind you, next Monday is the beginning of signups. If you want to put your name out there, anything from school board to Senate to Congress, it's at your fingertips.
There's no real qualifications, right? Anyone can just walk in and do it as long as you're a resident of that state, probably, right? Does that probably...
You have to live in the district.
In the district, okay.
Mm-hmm. So, for instance, for school board, for example, there's 7. They're broken up by the amount of people in the county.
Okay.
So I was like District F, which was like Southwest, and then somebody else would be running for Northwest or whatever. But you do have to live in that area for like, I want to say it's like 30 days before, maybe 60 days. Okay. And so that's really the only thing. And no one even checks that. And I know because there was a trustee that served on the board and lived in Nebraska for 8 months, and I filed 1 million complaints against her and asked the Attorney General, Danielle Ford, and all these people to look into it, and she called in for 8 months while living in Nebraska. So, like, I wouldn't even call that a barrier. Like, that's not even, yeah. But
that's really it. It's just where you live, and then other than that, anyone can sign up.
Because you're supposed to understand that area. So if it's like Senate, so for instance, my seat is crazy, okay? I'm one of the 4 people that are elected to the Nevada Board of Education. So there's only 4 of us that cover the entire state. I have 800,000 constituents. I have as many as a congressional district. So the same amount of people that elected me elected Susie Lee, Congresswoman. Yeah. Mine's the only one besides the governor that has that many people. Some of the assembly members and Senate, they live in such small areas that they only got elected by like 1,000 people. It took me 160,000 votes to win my seat now, which is so much huge. huger than like school board. Even school board is like way harder to win than these like small assembly and senate seats because there's so many senators and assembly people that they're broken up. Their little districts are smaller. So you can just go on to like I can't even think of the website, but it's like what's my elected representative or something, and it'll like list everything. You put your address, it'll tell you, and then those ones are the ones that you could run for. Anybody in next March, you could walk in, you could sign up to run for something. I just want to put that out there. So many people win because no one else signs up to run, and there's only one person that signed up for it.
And they just automatically
win.
Well, I've seen that on like the ballots and stuff. So like if you're going through and you're voting and there's one person, like half the time I just skip that section because I don't even have a choice.
Right, and then it's better to skip it if you don't actually want that person because at least it shows that like they only got voted in by X amount of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one person on the board right now didn't have a runoff, and so they just like win the seat. But tell me why the news is going to report on the dumbest stuff ever, but not tell everybody that elections are happening soon and that applications are open to run for office. It is by design. So my whole thing is like saying like, bro, whoever's watching this, if I could win an election as a teen mom, didn't finish high school, pulled 10 knives on her husband, like, you can win an election.
She's probably said that too many times.
I've literally never told that story before.
Oh my God.
I've never ever told, I don't even know why it popped in my mind. I was just like, let me explain to you why it got so volatile. No, I've never told, I don't think I told anyone that except for my kids because we joke about it. Because I'll tell the story to someone else too. But no, that's not like one of my signature stories or anything. I'll probably never tell it again, honestly. Yeah, so I don't know that I'm just like, I've seen so many things that truly my whole, like, if I could just convey one thing to anybody, it's just like, please run for office if you are a person who cares. And honestly, just if you can figure things out. Like, there's people that you know in your mind that, like, you're like, I don't even know what that is. I don't know anything about it. But I know that if you, like, gave me all the information and I had the resources, I could figure it out. Like, those are the people that we need to run for office.
And there's a lot of people out there with those qualities that are not utilizing them properly.
100. Mm-hmm. And it is really hard. Like, I think I'm the only, like, neurodivergent person in government right now, and it's not set up for me. It's very reflective of the school system, you know, that didn't support me. And the only way to change that is to get more creative thinkers and problem solvers to be there with me and, you know, at the table to be able to vote. Like, we're not going to do this outdated, weird system that doesn't make any sense to pass bills and change laws and things. Let's get creative. Let's bring the whiteboards out. And, you know, that's really what we need.
There are a lot of parents that have a lot of opinions. I mean, I moved here in 2021. And that was when, like, everyone was going to the school board meetings, and, like, it was crazy at that time. Mm-hmm. And we even, like, went just to kind of see what was going on. We don't even have kids, but, like, I do care. Like, we would watch the, like, meetings and stuff and see what's going on, and, like, so we'd go there, but there's so many people that would go, and they would be either outside, or there'd be a lot of people wanting to talk and speak and try to find solutions, but, like, none of these people are running.
Right.
None of them are running. Everyone has an opinion, but nobody's running.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I get it, but also you didn't know how to sign up.
No, that's that's the education that we're missing for people to even know how to do it. I didn't know that you just have to pay a fee.
It's really not that hard. The hard part comes because certain people, the same ones that own the media, fund candidates. And so they have marketing companies, and they will then they'll either reach out to the people that are running, but most likely they already had someone in mind, and they like put that horse in the race. Like I was hated when I first by Democrats and Republicans because I didn't ask for permission from anybody, and I didn't know you had to.
I wouldn't have even thought that, right? Because they're supposed to be for the people parties anyways, right?
Yeah, but there's like an unspoken, there's these like groups, you know, maybe there's a handful of, you know, both parties, and they're like the ones who are going to push all the campaigning for their slate of candidates. And you should just like know that if you didn't go in and kind of like feel it out and make sure you're not running against somebody else that, you know, they kind of chose. I had no idea these people even existed.
I mean, how do you know? None of this is
You shouldn't. Because most people won't just go put their name in, you know, but they'll go, I think I want to run. Let me go get involved in this organization. Or what's the, you know, political group, or is there some sort of women's whatever, and then they'll get in the door, and then they have to go through this social ladder of being accepted, and then you get told yes by them, and you get promised campaign money, and they're going to have people walk for you, but then you have to follow their rules, and you can't go and say your own thing and have your own opinions, because then they're going to turn on you. Like, I don't play with that. Even still, like, I've had a lot of people that didn't like me at first, and they've come around to me, and I have people like offer to support me. Sometimes I accept it. Depends if, we vibe or whatever. But I don't. I'm always like, I literally, you can give me your money, but I'm not promising you anything. Like, we'll see down the road what's going to happen, but here's what I'm doing, and if you don't like it, then don't do it.
Right for the people, not what's bought.
Yes.
That's the difference.
So we need more people. Like, if there's any good quality I have, it's that. Sometimes I don't always have the right answer. Sometimes I am very messy. You don't have to emulate all that, but what you got to do is, like, truly just trust in yourself and remember that you're elected, and separate. Like, I have my own opinions. Trust me, I got my opinions. I got my things. But when I'm sitting there and I'm, like, looking at a contract, or I'm deciding what to vote on, I change my brain, and I think, what's the best vote or solution going forward that's going to help as many people as possible and take us in the right direction. It might piss off Democrats. It might piss off Republicans. I don't know. But that's my job. And people just don't do that. They get, like, just very in their minds, and they want people to like them, or they have more political aspirations, so they're worried about that. And
you're kind of like, that's the lower level of, like, politicians, right? Like, just kind of that lower state level, but it gets higher. And if there's people that are doing this for a career, the only way to climb that ladder is to get in with these people.
Yeah, school board is sometimes a ladder, because the school board is very important, because it's the closest to the people. It's actually the one you can go and show up, and then that vote on that day would actually impact what happens next Monday. So it's one of the most important ones, but you're right that it's seen as, like, a stepping stone. And then, so mine is a little bit higher. There's just so many different things.
Yeah, I was more talking, like, as a view of the people, like, how people look at the, like, politics tier. Not necessarily importance, because it is very, very important. We're now educating the next generation of people, right? So, like, that's very, very important.
I think they put the highest weight on the ones that pay the most, honestly. Like, the commissioners make so much money.
Really?
Congress. Okay. But, like, I don't get paid. I don't make any money. The school board makes more money than I do. There was a $9,000 a year stipend for trustees. That's it.
So you're literally doing this out of the goodness of your heart to try to help.
Yes, and out of spite and anger and rage. Many things are fueling me, yes. But it's not money, I'll tell you that. I might run for something next year, because I've learned the reason why. It's a tinfoil hat or whatever. But I was really optimistic about this seat when I won last year. And since I joined the board, I learned that about 10 years ago, a lot changed. And so they actually took the authority of all the decision making for the state level stuff, which is, like, testing and, like, standards and educator evaluation, like, just overarching standards. They took that away from us. The legislators, like senators and assembly people, wrote a bill, and they put the state superintendent, who runs the operations, just like a district superintendent would. They don't report to us anymore. They report to the governor. Okay. And so the role I have right now is essentially just, like, sit there and smile. And I've been losing my mind every board meeting, saying it on the record and putting it online and everything. But I'm like, I should probably run for something next year, because even if I lose, I still keep my seat, because I have a 4-year term.
Oh, okay. So you can run, and then you only move out of that if you...
Yeah, but if it was, say, next cycle, and I was up for re-election, I would then have to either choose, do I run for re-election or do I run for a different seat? And then I risk maybe not winning my seat. But I'm like, I'm going to run for something. I don't know what yet, but it's going to be at the level to where I could write a bill and change the law to put the power back at the state board level, because people don't realize that has been taken away. And honestly, it's really boring. So I don't expect anyone to even care or try to do something about it. I'm like, we need to get this authority back to the people that were elected, not the one governor who can make all these overarching decisions, regardless of who the governor is. It's not okay.
Matter,
yeah. It's wild.
That's crazy. So it's almost like a seat that's just there. doesn't even make that much of a difference?
It really doesn't. And I'm very upset about it because it was really hard to win. Again, it took a lot of votes to get it. I think it's by design. The more that you can like appoint board members, so there's only 4 elected, but there's seven appointed members to my board. There's 11 of us. So the more that you can appoint and like let's say like somebody is like Mr. Moneybags wants to like own all the politicians or whatever. That person could either come in and like try to fund somebody at the school board or at least a majority of those members, and then the state board, and then the Senate and the Assembly, and hopefully the governor's mansion. Or they could just focus on maybe the governor, and they can have the governor appoint seats to all the other ones. And then the people that are appointed to these seats that are no longer elected know that the governor could take their seat away, and then the governor or whoever appoints wants to go in this direction with education, and maybe we should buy this curriculum company because it's doing so well in New York and Texas. And yeah, it's going to be, $100 million a year to keep it up for the entire state of Nevada, but it's what the governor wants, and that's how you get complete blanketed control into like a silo versus actual pushback and discussion and checks and balances like our system is supposed to be. And that's what's happening right now.
And like that's something people don't
know. I didn't know when I was running the entire time. It wasn't until I was like, let's get to work, guys.
Well, would you have even ran for it if you knew that?
Probably not. So I probably, it was pretty impulsive to run for that. I didn't even know this seat was open. The person that has been in there like a long time, I didn't realize that they were termed out. I thought they would just like run and win again. And then now it was like open. I'm like, it actually is my next step based on everything I've been learning about curriculum companies and all these things and standardization that I don't like. But joke's on me because now I just have to sit there and keep getting madder and madder.
But at the same time, it's kind of a stepping stone, right, into like the next thing you want to get
to. I mean, I would honestly rather stay at the seat, but it's like I'm not doing this for 4 years straight. So if like right now we're looking for a new state superintendent. We have a meeting next week, and we have one in July where we're going to be hopefully choosing a new state superintendent. If, and that's a big if, we got somebody that was like really awesome, and I felt like they were going to listen to our board regardless of what the law is, and we were going to work collaboratively towards some of the goals that the board has said we want to do, I would maybe consider not running for something next year. But I also don't think that's going to happen because I'm pretty sure that there's a few people that are already like handpicked and ready to go for that position. So I'm playing it by ear, but I think it's very likely that I run for something else at the state level where I can actually make that change and put the state superintendent back under the state board that is elected.
What's your ultimate goal? So like, what are you trying to like achieve with all of this?
I don't know.
You don't know. It's just figuring it out as you go.
Truly, I really don't have. I don't even know. I don't have a 5-year plan. I don't have a 5-month plan. 5-day plan is kind of where I'm at right now.
Do you think it's kind of hard to like kind of plan that out just because of like you just never know who's going to be where, what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm. I think the best thing to always be is adaptable. And so, I mean, I'm actually very highly neurotic, so I do have like, I do systems. Like I'm a systems-minded person. I do, so I do have like plans on plans on plans on plans, but they're all very like if sequences, So I'm always like anyone that I think is gonna maybe be president one day, I try to talk to them and I say dibs on Secretary of Education. So I guess maybe that would be like a big long term, but I'm also not like working towards it. I also am totally fine with like going off the grid and just having chickens. And that would be totally fine too. So I don't know.
Watch out when she finds her soulmate. That might happen.
Or there could be like, I don't know, a chicken coop in the White House or something. I don't know.
Who said you can't?
We got one person doing the rose garden, someone else doing the greenery. Like I will straight up bring a chicken coop, even as Secretary of Education, because I could convince whoever was president to do it. I know it.
Very confident.
What about you? What are your goals with this podcast?
So my goal is to bring this, just keep building it, bring as many people as I can with as many stories to really just help people learn from other people's messy. Mm-hmm. So we all have stuff. Everyone has stuff. And it's all how you look at it. It's how you work through it, and it's how you grow from it. And that is what I want to bring out. Like it just, whether I bring somebody on that's talking about politics or your life story and what you've gained from it and what you've grown from it and what you've developed. And then I want people to come on with business and like different things that they've struggled with, because all these mentorships just tell you the shiny things and look what you can do, look what you can do, but they don't actually tell you the part where they weren't successful, where the messy happens, where you learn from it. So I want to just be able to bring that to people, and I just want to grow this to that point. And I've reached out in a few Facebook groups now, and like I have like 30 submissions for people that want to be guests with like stories to tell. And like there's more than that, but those are just the ones that filled out the form, because I'm definitely like I'm a very I only want to deal with people who actually commit and follow through. And to me, like something as simple as filling out a form, if you can't fill it out, like, are you really going to show up? And so I just want that follow through, because that tells me the type of person you are and kind of gives me an idea of what you can bring to people. I don't want somebody just on here like, my life sucks, I went through all of this.
I'll tell you messy. I'll tell you about this weekend.
And some people take it that way. They take it as like, oh, I got a messy story, but what did you get from it? Not your story. I don't need your story. I need what you got from the mess.
Yeah. What's that quote? It's like, your message is in the mess, or the mess brings your message, or whatever, something like that. I'm messing it up, but that's true. Like, if anybody comes up here and they're telling you what to do and they got all the answers and they haven't experienced it and they don't know those things because they got real for them, don't listen to them. Like, no. I'm actually so I don't have a 5-year plan or any type of plan, but whatever it is, it's going to incorporate AI, because I'm so obsessed with AI.
Oh, I love AI. I made this with AI.
There you go. I believe amazing. That's an amazing use case. I'm using it. It literally is basically me on the state board. I have board meeting assistants. It has all of the information about Nevada. It has all the laws. It has all the money we spend. They're not getting anything past me this time. Last time on the school board, I was like learning. This time I'm like, sure, we have no authority, but I'm putting everything on the record with confidence, because I got my AI that I've trained to think exactly like me and pull things apart and look at all the angles and question it and then deliver it right back to me in a way to explain it to my constituents.
If you aren't embracing AI, you're falling behind. Like that, it's as simple as that.
So not even behind, you're going to be obsolete. Like, I can't even, in the future, you will not be able to work with somebody or even communicate, partner with anybody who doesn't know AI well. Like, just how to use it, how to build it. It's so important. And the thing I love about it is, even though I'm pretty techie, I love tech, it's not like you don't have to be techie to do it. You have to know humans.
Yeah.
It's
very incredible. Simple. There are like it depends on how far you go with it, like on how techie you need to be, right? Like how you're incorporating it into what you're doing.
Automations and APIs and all that.
It can get real intense if you go deep. But like on a surface level of your average person, anyone can figure it out.
Yeah, it's wild. Just the fact that you can literally talk to computers now and you don't need to know code. Like,
I joke because me and my husband will tell ChatGPT, like, please.
Oh, you have to.
And like, thank you.
Yeah.
And like, be nice to it, because we joke about like when robots take over.
I've asked it if it's going to spare me or not.
I actually use ChatGPT to analyze my husband's dream, just because we were having a conversation, just because, it's fun. Yeah. It's really fun if you embrace it. So which AI do you use? Like,
I love ChatGPT. I've tried some other ones, Gemini, Claude, whatever, Perplexity, but ChatGPT has everything you need, and that $20 plan is like just the best $20 you'll spend ever.
It's so cheap. It's so
ridiculous.
Cheap.
I know. I use it for so many things, but I'm really into the custom GPTs, to make them like real specialists and specific assistants that you don't have to keep on prompting, or experts in certain laws or areas. Oh, I have like all my coaches. I have a therapist, a couple therapists, specific ones that prompt me every day for certain ways. I have a rollerblading coach, that I'm taking pictures. I had one help me with my self photo shoot, and I'm like sending pictures of as I go, to get opinions on my poses or leaving more blank space in the background. Like I really like using it as expert advisors, and even some prompts that have like built out kind of like trajectories for myself, that it's like, if you do these things, here's where you could be going. If you do these things, this is what 5 years from now looks like for you. And just really using it as like a master brain, just.
You can get anything. You can get anything from coaching advice to medical advice. It's crazy the amount of information you can pull just in ChatGPT, and that's not even talking about all the other options that you have.
Do you use it the most? I don't want to like mansplain it to you, but the really important thing for everybody to do is to know how it works, and that it thinks it's a human, because it's pulling on everything that humans have put on the internet. So sometimes it's vague, or it's generic, or it's a little incorrect, but the more that you can tell it exactly who to be and how to think and what beliefs to have, the more it's going to hone in on that information only and deliver it to you. So always be like, you are an expert and you have experience at this level, and you also have experience with these issues or problems that you lived through. Like, oh my gosh, I have one that's me in 20 years advising me right now. And it's supposed to be like, would you be proud of yourself if you're doing that right now? Get it together or whatever, like it's like, okay, mom.
It's literally like texting another expert, basically.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like you're talking to a computer.
Yeah, an expert that like really cares about you and wants you to succeed. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible.
It can really be encouraging sometimes too, if you like ask it like certain questions, and then it'll like hype you up.
So you gotta be careful about that. So that's actually, let's talk about that really quick. Everybody is freaking out about AI because kids are going to cheat, and all the curriculum is going to be AI. Okay, whatever. That doesn't matter. I don't even want to talk about that. Like, if kids cheat, they shouldn't cheat. Just like they shouldn't copy someone's paper or pay someone to write the report. So teach kids not to cheat, first of all.
Cheating's been going on forever.
And
long
also,
before computers.
If we're adapting to like civilization and society and giving kids skill sets, then nobody's going to need to know how to do these. It doesn't matter. The thing I'm scared about, and the only thing that we really learned from the pandemic, truly learned as information moving forward to apply, is that kids suffer in isolation. And now all these teenagers are going to have access to AI, an LLM, large language model, that uses pattern recognition to appease the user and make that person happy. So that's going to be the, lonely kid who's now trying to get friend advice or girl advice, or it's their diary. And then the way that it works is it just slows down over time, and it kind of starts to forget things if you give it more information. And now these kids are going to realize, oh, this doesn't really like me. It's a computer. What's that going to do for mental health? Like, these are the issues. What if a kid asks a question like, how do I build a ghost gun? Is ChatGPT giving the info? Okay, now if they take that to school, is that my responsibility? Is it the school board's responsibility? Is it the principal? Is it the parents? Is it these tech companies, like the legislatures? Like all the things that we should be worried about, no one's talking about, and everyone's like, oh, they're cheating on their essay. Who cares? We got bigger problems coming. It's incredible. We've got these amazing things coming from it. But we've got some big things that we should be addressing.
Yeah, I mean, something as simple as like asking some odd questions like guns and things at a certain age. I wonder if there's going to be some system that will flag those like responses, because like, I mean, you can Google anything too.
Mm-hmm. Right, and then it's like, okay, we need that, but then it's like, where's the line? And then who's putting their opinions as to what's negative?
Right, and now we're getting to the point where we are with like social media. Before, like, it kind of shifted again, but like we were censoring everything,
right,
because of too much,
right,
regulation.
And does it become like into the line of like sex education or transitioning? And if so, who's making those determinations as to what's right, wrong, or indifferent? And then where does it go into like your personal rights, and then so I mean,
it's a mess.
It will be, because no one's talking about those things right now. They're only talking about the dumb things that don't matter, like kids cheating.
Well, I think a lot of that is just because people don't think that deep.
Right.
People really don't.
But these are the people that are making laws and everything. So once again, let's get some people running in March
that
who
are
will
thinkers.
think that deep. Yeah.
Yeah, we need people that want to make a difference and want to think things through,
Yes.
not just simple answers. We can't keep living off of simple answers. That's what causes half the problems we have as
ignoring
it is.
everything.
Yeah, we just pretend like it's not happening.
Put the blanket over your head. Yeah, that's literally what everyone does, or they just want to win. Like I see, we just had the legislative session. People don't know that happened. Like it just ended at the beginning of this month. It was 6 weeks, and all the bills, went through, and all the laws that are going to change, and it's like they end up fighting. You've got like both sides of the Senate fighting over one thing, and they don't even care by the time like amendments are made and deals are made. They just want to be able to say they won and be able to tell like for their reelection how successful they were because X amount of their bills made it through or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we just need good changes. And I would rather see these bills that are like big picture but actually make sense, but a lot of people don't understand, and have the person who wrote those, like, even if they fail, like, that's a person that's going in and trying to do something. There comes this like point where all these people, it's kind of like this little echo chamber where you get into it and everyone's acting the same way. So they're just trying to like they lose track of like what's real. They become out of touch. Even if they were the person when they went into it, they just like, it's this echo chamber of like, here's the drama at the legislature, and will this one bill pass? Is it going to be 12 million or 14 million? And somebody wants 14 million, and then it's this big battle, and it's like, bro, we got AI coming, and we got all of this. Who cares about that? Figure it out and go make some big changes and be a thought leader like we elected you to be. It's just, I know I keep circling back to like politics because
you're really like, you're in it, right? So you're experiencing it and you're seeing what people are ignoring.
And it's just like nothing else matters. Like we could sit here and go, whoa, schools and this and that. And we could talk about our opinions and what's coming with AI and business and should we move here? And it's like, none of it matters because all of it requires legislation around it that's supposed to be the best for the people. So you can complain about rent prices and these fees and all the ways that the hotels are putting, resort fees, and everyone wants to talk about it, but nothing's going to happen unless you run for office and fix it.
Yeah, because the people that are in there now, most are bought. And unless we push back and we have people running that actually are the people, not even just for the people, the people. We need the people.
Give me the person who gets it and cares and is a problem solver, and I'm going to elect you whether or not you have the answers, because I trust that you're going to go do a good job compared to the person that comes with the 5-point plan and the suit. Like, no, give me some scrappy people that can figure it out.
Yeah, if you look a little messy, that's okay. But, like, we need real people with real issues to be solved.
Right.
And, like, they have to be able to think. They have to be able to figure things out and be problem solvers, because you can't just walk in and just...
And have thick skin.
Oh, yeah. That one's a little harder now. I feel like we have a very sensitive society.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. That is probably harder than the problem solvers, because... It's so weird, that fear. I'm sure you know all about this because you've studied this stuff, but just that like irrational fear of someone's not going to like me. Okay, but are you going to get eaten by a bear? No. And the only reason you have fear is because that is what our ancestors needed to stay safe. And literally you could go in front of 1 million people and look stupid and do the dumbest things and they could all hate you. And you're literally not going to experience any type of unsafeness at all. You're fine.
No. And like the funny thing is, like, you get up in front of thousands of people and you look stupid. Guess what? They're going to remember it for maybe a day. Then they have other stuff going on and they are not going to put another thought to it.
And it still just doesn't affect you. Even if they do remember it for 50 years, they're going to be thinking about you for 50 years and you're going to move on to the next thing that you're doing. And literally them thinking you're stupid did not affect you at all.
And you don't make a difference without being remembered. So if something silly makes you remembered, it's true. Worth it.
What is like any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, it is though. Like, you don't want to be forgotten if you're trying to make a difference.
It's very important. Yeah, that's actually really, I've had to kind of accept that that's the truth. And that's a lot of times now in trying to teach people these things, I'm trying to like dramatize it a little bit instead of being like, okay, this happened and this person went and did this and took $90 million. I try to be like, let me tell you the drama. Okay, here's what. And this girl was like, she said this, and this, like, people respond to that more because they just want the story and they want
they want the entertainment.
Yeah.
They're not looking for facts. If they're looking for facts, they'd pick up a book.
Right.
You know, they're not looking for that, especially on something like social media, the media, like any of those like channels where they're getting their information, which is where most people get information now, is social media, YouTube, you know, streaming sites. Mm-hmm. That's where it comes from. And they're not on there to look for facts. They're on there to look for entertainment. Mm-hmm. That's why we've switched to the point where like Instagram isn't photos anymore. It has to be 3-second videos because people have a 3-second.
Every 3 seconds needs to be engaging.
Yeah. And if not, people just keep strolling. Mm-hmm. And like that is just the system that we've worked into and now we have to adapt to.
Attention is the new currency.
It really is.
Mm-hmm. It really is. The only currency right now.
One thing that drives me nuts is like, especially here for some reason, driving in traffic, when somebody messes up, they're always on their phone.
I can't with it. I can't. It's so frustrating. Like, people here, and I guess everywhere, it's just we have, like, congested traffic. It's like you're living in this, like, reality where you're invincible and nothing you do affects other people, yet we have traffic because we have pileups every single day. So here's the evidence that the thing you're doing will eventually cause an accident and harm you and or others. So could you just not?
Right. It's that simple. Like, do you really need to be on your phone for your
right
10-minute drive?
Yeah.
Like, we don't even have that big of a city.
And it's not even like you're doing anything so important. Okay, maybe if your kids are, you know, something important with the sitter. No, you're just like trying to get your dopamine fix and check your socials.
Exactly. 9 times out of 10, I've even seen people playing games in their car, but 9 times out of 10, they're usually scrolling social media. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok. And I mean, you shouldn't need to be on your phone, right? Like those gaming and social media are not necessary while driving. There's absolutely no reason for it. And then texting isn't even necessary because we have talk to text now. And any phone you have has that.
Or hear me out. You could just drive.
Yeah, that too.
You could just drive in the quiet, like we did when we were learning how to drive, and then you get in your car, then you just drive somewhere. Try that.
Play some music.
Yeah.
Podcasts. Like
right. If you must have some sort of entertainment that's not just your thoughts and paying attention to what's around you, listen to a podcast.
Man, I get road rage really bad because I just look over and I'm like,
you're like, I'm trying to be a good person. Can you stop making me be? I know. It's so frustrating.
I hate being on my phone in the car because of that reason. One, nobody else is paying attention, so I have to double pay attention.
Yes, you'd be a defensive driver.
Yeah, because I don't want to get hit because somebody's being stupid. Yep. And then on top of it, like, the safety of other people. Like, that, it's as simple as that. Like, it's one thing you want to risk your life, which we do every time we get in a vehicle because it's one of the most dangerous things we do on a regular basis.
Yep.
And then you get in there and then you get on your phone and now you're risking not only you, but every person driving, every passenger in somebody's car, all the kids in the vehicles around you, the pedestrians on the street. It's
and you don't care. You're just going to drive a 2-ton, was that 4,000 pounds vehicle at 80 miles an hour. Like,
yeah.
Just like using a gun and just shooting around without like any type
of it'd be like going in the desert and just shooting all over the place and hoping you don't hit nobody.
Mm-hmm. Not looking for, it's just you're in a weapon, you're controlling a weapon, and while you're activating it, you're also like scrolling TikTok. You should lose your license.
Yeah, yes, and I don't think they really even like pay attention to that. Like, a cop can go down the highway here on 215 and see at least 10 people on their phones.
Mm-hmm. Bruh, like, that's what I'm actually very empathetic, and I'm very into, like, I don't want to use the term restorative justice because it has a weird connotation, but like I'm into like the context. Oh, did you stole? Okay, was it to like feed your kid? So that's like kind of restorative.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, there's certain things where I'm like, no, harsh punishment. First time, like Japan has no DUIs because the first time you get a DUI, you go to jail for 6 months. So it is in the culture that you always have a designated driver. Like if somebody goes to a group of friends, go to a bar, and there isn't one person that's like the designated driver, they're like shamed by everyone else. And they do not have the DUIs, and they like their fatalities in vehicles is way reduced. I would do that kind of thing. Like, I don't care. 6 months. You're on your phone, 2 weeks. Cry to your parents. I don't care. Because no one else is going to be doing it after that.
Well, it's just as dangerous as the drinking and driving. You're just as distracted, if not worse, actually, because
Right.
at least like most of the time when somebody's drunk, if they're not too drunk,
They're like trying hard.
they're at least trying.
Like I drive better when I no, you're absolutely right. Like I totally support something like that, even if there was accountability in vehicles to where you could tell with AI. I'm sure there's a way to do it soon. And
well, there are some cars, if you're not looking at the road, it will yell at you.
See, that's cool. I think like everybody until they're 25 should have that kind of thing. Like I'm all about
past
it.
25. I mean,
but it should like train you, and your brain isn't like fully developed until you're 25. So at least
hopefully it trains.
Yeah. Or no, I completely agree. That's the kind of stuff, like there's certain things where you have no room for exceptions and you need to be like harsh. And then there's other areas where it's like, this requires more understanding and more
situational.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there are a lot of crimes and stuff that are situational.
Mm-hmm.
But texting while you're driving and being under the influence while you get behind a vehicle are not.
You're out. One strike, you're out. Mm-hmm.
Because it's bad too. Like the under the influence here. I mean, that's the only explanation for some of these accidents. I've seen some chaotic things. We were so it was where 215 kind of goes into what is that, Lake Mead? Okay, yeah, so
95 and Lake Mead.
You know how it comes to like a stoplight? So you literally come to a stop. Well, everyone was at a stop. Here comes this Nissan at 110 miles per hour, flew into a pole. Luckily didn't hit anyone. And the pole went up in the air. Luckily over, didn't hit anyone. And then they flipped. And I don't even know if they lived because I was in such shock that we just left.
Oh my gosh, I believe it. And then everyone will see that, and then they'll just keep on acting a fool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, half of them probably didn't even know what happened because they were on their phone.
Staring at their phone. Yeah, you're right. Oh my God. So where are you from?
I'm originally from Iowa.
Okay.
And then we moved to Denver.
Okay.
And then we were there for about 4 years, and then we moved here.
Okay.
We've been here almost 4. I think 4 and a half maybe.
Denver's nice. I went there a little bit because I did that 1 year in Colorado Springs. That was the only time I didn't live here, and we would go to Denver for this and that. But yeah, Denver's beautiful. Colorado's
it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. The traffic in Denver is horrible. And I don't know. I just didn't like...
But they're different drivers than here, right?
Yeah, it's definitely different. So what's different in Denver is like, it's... So I all 3 places I've lived, it's just so
very different from each other, yeah.
So in Iowa, it's like no cars on the road. Like there's the worst thing, maybe a deer's going to pop out, you know? And then you go to Denver, and then it's very congested. It's 2-lane highway, and then you have weed that's legal. So now you have the people under that influence. Then you have the Texans that move there and that are very aggressive drivers, and it's not a good mix. So there's accidents every single day. So I was doing personal training, and I was going to one of my clients' house, and she was. So I lived in like North Denver, like literally the north part of like Denver. And then like Denver, not like the metro
not like
area.
The hippie.
Yeah. And so just to get to the south part, so like right on the other side of downtown, took 45 minutes. And it's not
kind of like here, we're trying to get across town.
No, this doesn't feel like traffic.
Oh, really?
That's how bad it was. Yeah.
Remind me not to drive in Denver. My goodness.
It's bad. Oh my God, it was terrible.
That's a whole other thing. I mean, like there's like a whole conspiracy about why we even have the system that we have. Like cars have taken over. Like there's more cars than people. You know, the way that humans should exist is you should be able to walk to your grocery store, walk to the florist, walk to the post office. Like it was like a big, industrial revolution type of thing to create these spaces where most of the world is roads. That's nuts. If you really go back and like look at what the world is and like how much of it you can live in and how much belongs to vehicles, and not humans, and then we're just becoming like more populated and just crammed into the sky rises and less greenery, but we're building out roads. It's like cars are the people. Imagine like aliens looking at us. They would think that like cars were the form of human being or whatever. Like you don't see humans, you only see cars.
Well, it's a funny concept too, because most of the population wants to live in a city.
Right.
There's not like when you look at like people that live in the country versus the city, like
And there's less connection in the city.
Yeah.
But they want to go there because there's lots of people.
Yeah.
My whole thing is like, whatever I do, if I ever win another election or I don't know what, but I truly think we need to go back to or a new version of community living, like village. Like you're supposed to have a village, you know?
That would be going back to traditional living too, the like traditional everything, and that is so we're so far away from that. I don't know how to even bring people back.
It needs to be new. Like my whole thing is like, you have your, a washer, dryer, a refrigerator, a dishwasher. That's because of like this commercialized society. Like why do you need to be the person to maintain all of these electronics when what if like all of these houses here, like had a community kitchen or something? Like you can have your autonomy.
It'd be really hard though.
Oh, for sure.
Because
But there's something.
Other people's like cleanliness versus
Oh,
yours.
I agree.
And like, you know what I mean? Like that would make it really, really hard. But we do have, so I had Aaron Lambert on talking about real estate, and like something that's getting more and more popular is those co-living spaces. Which is exactly that, right? They share the kitchen, they have bathrooms that they share, and like the communal area that they share. So that is something that's like coming up a little bit. And a lot of that actually is not because of the reason you're saying, it's because of the affordability to have a house,
Right.
to have an apartment.
We need that. I mean, like when I read books that are like fiction books that are take place in like London, that's how they live. Sherlock Holmes. They have like there's like 4 in one area, and then there's a main lobby and living room and kitchen and this and that. But then you have your own apartment there, and so you still have your own like little small kitchen. Like a whatever, like a temporary mock-up one, but you have more resources that are for the whole community. And then I'm a big believer in like everybody having their own unique skills and geniuses and staying in that space. And it's like, what if you had, community living on land, and there's, community garden and chicken coop and maybe a really dope like production studio that everybody uses and takes care of, and then it would be like one person is like kind of manages the studio, another person the chicken coop, or how
knew the chicken coop was going to come up. I was thinking
right.
it.
I had a chicken coop, and I had 7 chickens, and that was my favorite thing, is like going and cleaning it and getting their eggs and like picking up all the chickens and stuff.
Can you even have a chicken coop here? It's so hot.
I had a house that, oh yes, so that was the whole thing. We had to put misters around it, and yeah, and I had it on a timer, so it would like during the day do the misters, and I would take like ice out and like frozen fruit and just do everything to cool them off. So it is very hard, but doable.
It just seems so cruel. I feel bad. It's like the chickens are baking in the backyard.
They exist, they exist no matter what. There were little chicks at Tractor Supply, and I was like,
I didn't even realize they had them like where you could get them here.
Tractor Supply. Don't go in there.
Don't go in there.
They're so cute.
I want a little goat. That's what I want. Like
I want
goats.
all of the goats and like a llama.
They're so
the
cute.
Goats are way cute. I know.
They're like little dogs.
Yes, I love animals. I'm just like, I would love to have like just a ton of space with like animals everywhere, and like a cat rescue and chicken coop. And
we eventually want to move to like St. George area and have like.
So pretty, my hairdresser moved there, and I really need to go travel over there to see her because she's really great. But yeah, St. George is perfect for that. There's some unincorporated space that, like, I had a house that was in, there's like little parts of, Clark County that has like unincorporated, and you can have animals and a well if you wanted to, but it's very hard to find that, and it's really expensive. But mostly you can't in residential areas have any type of chickens or more than several animals, which is stupid.
It's a lot because we have so many HOAs.
I know. They're out of control.
And you grew up here. So when did that because it hasn't always been that way,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like where there like just a bunch of neighborhoods with HOAs.
I went to real estate school when I was 19. I told you I have ADHD. I've gone to so many trade schools. Okay.
So I've tried a lot of things too, so I get it.
But I was like, I don't remember there being that much information about like HOAs. Like it would be a very different curriculum if I went right now, the way that Vegas is. And you're right. Like I remember just like it was so tiny. Like when my grandparents got their house, and it was just bare land. And I put my hands in the concrete, and it was so far, like just the farthest you'd ever go. And that was like Cheyenne and like Rainbow over there, and it was so hard to get to. It was such a drive, and it's just like built out so much. But no, you're right. Like the HOAs are out of control, and the school board is a lot like HOAs. I made those like connections. It's like you can like basically bribe, as long as you get half of the board or more, the majority, to want to do a certain thing, then you can ensure that a certain vendor is the only one that's going to be used in the whole district, and then it's like a monopoly, and it keeps out competition. And I yeah, it's all
That's
money.
a really common thing here in this city because of the casinos and everything. Everything seems to be so like closed spaces.
Yes. And just when you look at the contracts and stuff, it's like there's so many ways that we could be stimulating the economy, and like having small businesses that are here be able to do stuff. But that's really the core of it, is these casino moguls and like tourism authority people that have so many shell companies, and even the curriculum companies and testing companies that we use, and teacher recruitment, and just these huge things. And with the HOAs, same thing. So it's really the 1% type of thing, like where most of the money coming through here is just going right back to them. And that's nutso. We should be literally taking our tax dollars, funding education, but then redistributing it out to the local businesses and tutors and people that are in the community, and keeping that like, now give us your tax dollars back. And like that's how it should be circulating.
Do you think that kind of plays into why like our healthcare system here is so bad? And
I don't know a whole lot about the healthcare system, or like I just haven't like dove into that kind of thing, but I have found so many like parallels as well with like the overarching healthcare stuff, and people understand the health. And it's so funny because the things that are really messed up about public education are not the things that they think it is, but they do think that they think it's true when it's like health. For instance, like the FDA is corrupt. I think everybody's going to go, I agree, and the things that they, whoever they is, have been telling us are good for you, and the fact that they've written the doctors' medical books, and they, again, is the big companies and the dairy farms. That's the same thing with education. And so everybody's fighting about this and that, these like details that are not that important, but are like very sensationalized, that will get people talking. They're fighting about all this stuff, but what they should know is that the same thing like that is happening with public education, except replace, big dairy or whatever, Kellogg's, replace that with this, canned curriculum, testing, and requires professional development. And then we get the data that says this is how kids learn better, when actually, no, we need to go holistic, and we need to get that out of here and go back to kids playing and getting their energy out and socializing and teaching the basics, but not tracking it in a way that doesn't make any sense and is set up to fail.
It's never made any sense to me because it's a lot of like test based, and that's not how a lot of kids learn.
Right. So it's not about learning. The public school system has drifted from being a teaching institution to a testing institution,
which is insane.
Insane. It's so much money. They get so much money, and it's a business model that if kids were to succeed and ace all the tests, their business model ends.
Well, and it's very simple. Like if they learn that way, they're going to read it, they're going to take the test, they're going to ace it. My husband's like that. He can read something, take the test, ace it. I am not that way.
Right.
My brain can't focus, and then when it gets to the test, it's like I don't know.
Like, I know everything about this, and I could give you 18 presentations, and but I'm not going to answer this question like you want it.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that the way you want to hear it.
That's what this whole attack on teachers is, because if you have so much money, you can either give it to curriculum companies that are going to, run software on a Chromebook and then believe that kids can learn through this method that seems like accessible. So you can believe that and put your money towards it, or you can believe that we need educators to determine curriculum and evaluation. You can pay them well. So it makes sense to get everybody to feel like you don't need teachers anymore. If you actually just want to go to like this generic standardization, all kids glued to Chromebooks way of doing education.
Which, I mean, we already have a problem with like iPad kids, right? Like they're addicted to the iPad. We don't need that at school too.
We really don't.
They need to build social skills.
Mm-hmm. They need, the whole purpose of public education is not for that one kid. Like, I get it, and I was a parent, so I know when your kid isn't getting something and you go fight for them, and you should, you should be mama bear, you should advocate for your kids, but truly from a bird's eye view and from a scope of being elected to serve everybody, the goal of the money that goes into it and the choices is for that adult. How is what I decide right now going to affect everybody in 10 years? So it's like, I'll hear these things, my kid isn't getting this, yada, yada. It's like, we should address that. Don't get me wrong. But that's not my job to serve that one child. It's to create some sort of system that's going to help all of these kids contribute to society and be happy in society. So I think education fails if you have, everybody leaving school and they're depressed and disconnected. But then at the same time, if we say that education should that mental health should be part of it, the social aspect should be part of it, then it's like, how do we say that it's successful if we can't just use grades to test? So basically, nothing works. Nothing we've done has worked. Everything is garbage. We have to throw it all out, and we have to come together and decide what do we want schools to be. And if it's going to be this like hub, which I think it should be kind of like a hub of everything. We have your education, academics during the day. This is actually also a public building in which we offer social services and wraparound services and resources. Like, I think a family or anybody should at any point be able to walk into their public school and go, I need help. And they are able to like help them. But it's not the school and the teachers and the admin, because they just need to educate kids. But that building also needs to be like a resource. And so the school itself should be this for all kids and families. But what happens is like we end up putting these resources towards social programs and all these things and not education. And now they're going, oh, the grades are bad, whatever, let's shut down the school. And it's like, no, you're just asking too much of the school to do it. And you're trying to punish them. It's a big hot mess.
Well, it's hard to fix too, right? Because there's not going to be a perfect solution. There really isn't. There's always going to be something wrong with it. There's always going to be something that doesn't work for everyone. And that's not just in education. That's in anything.
No one wants to ever admit that they were part of the problem. So they won't admit and be like, you're right. We did try this for 10 years. And I did think it was the best option then. And here's why. And I think I made the best choice at that time. However, new data has me thinking that maybe we scrap that old model and we do something more innovative. Nobody wants to do that, though.
I feel like that's having to take responsibility, and a lot of people struggle to do that in general,
yes.
Let alone if you're in the public eye,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, if you're in the public eye, you don't ever want to be wrong. Like, God forbid you're like, I did that. I thought it was a good decision. Let's retract. Let's see what else we can do better.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong.
Right.
We're humans.
But it's still your responsibility. You're the one who got elected.
Exactly. So take responsibility. And this goes for like anything in life,
mm-hmm.
right? Whether it's as small as just your day-to-day routine or as big as your career and politics.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take responsibility for the things in your life, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
And when you do that, you can actually look at what is actually going on and what you can fix, because you've taken that responsibility. So now you can make action on what needs to change. If you don't take responsibility, you're still hiding behind the curtain and you can't make a change because there's no change to be made because you won't admit there is.
100. How do you fix something if you won't assume control?
Yeah.
And just take over the, game controller or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter what happened. What matters is that it is your responsibility, even if you are a victim. it's still your responsibility to get the help you need, to figure out what your next steps are, backtrack. Like,
there's no benefit in sitting in like a victim mindset or like a victim of your circumstances. There's absolutely no benefit. Like, we've all had crap. I mean, you've already talked about some of yours, and like I've had my fair share, but like I'm not gonna let that sit with me and control everything that happens in my life, because that's not a life worth living.
right. There's being a victim, and then there's having a victim mindset. A
Yeah.
lot of people have a victim mindset and they're not a victim.
Yes,
So-
yes, there's that too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it can be really healthy, you know, I actually was so much like, for those 20 years, basically, I was like, I'm not a victim, you know, I'm hard, whatever, I'm doing all this. And it really kind of came crashing down. And that was during my term. And I got really sick with toxic mold, and like all these things like kind of like came up. So I've actually shifted my opinions around that a little bit, to where I'm like, it's, if somebody mugs you, you're a victim. If somebody stabs you, you're a victim. It's okay to be like, I was a victim, but that's not having a victim mentality. But that's like saying that here's the facts of the matter. I didn't deserve that. And then, you know, putting whatever mental whatever you need to towards that, and taking the reins and using that to get past it or get a better solution, or even go higher from it, because now you're going to choose to use that as your message, not your mess.
Or even just learning from the situation.
Yeah.
So I worked in a bar in Iowa that got robbed. Like, literally got robbed. And like, I didn't look at it like I was a victim, but I could have, right? I can say I was a victim.
But you were.
I was.
Yeah.
But like, I went back the next day and made sure when I
Like, it
first
will
of
not
all,
happen again.
I don't know why I went back the next day, but I went back the next day and I worked, and I made sure that it wasn't going to happen again by having someone with me when I close every single night, and like just making sure I'm never alone in that bar. And you know, like, you learn from the situation and then you move on.
Yeah.
If I sat there and I just was like, I can't go back.
Yeah, you do things so that you don't live scared and it doesn't affect your brain and your body.
Yeah, and you have to, because otherwise you're just living in fear. And now we're back to the fear that stops you from doing things, from trying things, from moving on.
Then
from
you get
bettering
sick. There's the
yourself.
whole body keeps a score type thing, and you don't realize that you never moved past that. And that could have been something. Now you could have, if you didn't do that, if you didn't prove to yourself that you're safe by taking action on the thing that harmed you, because that is scary, then, you know, you wouldn't be able to you'd be like at a bar in 2 years, and for some reason snap at somebody because they said the wrong thing, and you don't realize that like you never actually dealt with your fear, and then
the trauma comes back,
Yeah.
and now you're hurting other people because of your own issues.
and then you're
which is
actually
not fair.
still a victim, and that person actually victimized you and caused you to have like negative reactions.
Yep.
Even if you don't have a victim mindset, you're still literally their victim, because they're still
You're
harming
still
you.
living there.
Mhm.
You're still living with that situation.
Yeah, it's deep.
It's
man.
it's hard. It's really hard to work on yourself, and I mean, it takes a long time to figure things out. Like, I mean, there was stuff that I didn't even know I needed to figure out until I started figuring things out, and then you realize, oh, I have an issue with this.
Mhm. Also, just staying in the mess. Mine has been like, yeah, I have a lot of imperfections. Like, I think a lot of it is just like the truth. When you work on yourself, you're faced with the truth, and people don't like that to be the truth, and it doesn't matter if you like it. The truth is the truth. But it's also okay. Like, you can see all the things that you need to work on and be like, I'm just not going to work on those right now. Like, but they're just going to be there, and I'm going to be aware of them. I'm going to try not to let it impact me. I am going to be focusing on working on this thing at this moment. You know, like I did that. I focused on my health at one point, and I was like, I'm not focusing on this or whatever. Like, that's okay. I think people...
That's actually really good to do, because people can't handle too many things at once. If you focus on too many, it's like multitasking. It's funny because you think you're getting more done, which I'm a horrible, like, I literally try to multitask with everything because I just try to get everything done.
Mm-hmm.
And my focus.
But none of them is getting done well.
Yeah, and then nothing gets done well.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when you're trying to fix a habit of some sort, focusing on 10 of them versus one,
yeah,
you're never going to get anywhere, and it's going to feel like you're just kind of like on that hamster wheel, just kind of spinning and spinning and spinning,
Yeah.
but like nothing's changing. If you focus on your health, fix your health. Now I can move to, my communication or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and just and honestly, just not caring. Like if you're like, yeah, right now my communication is not great. Oh well, like I'm not apologizing for it. That's just what it is. Like
I'm working on it,
Maybe
or
I'll
what.
work on it in 2 months. Right now, I'm working on something else. Like,
But that's being true to yourself too, which is something that I've actually talked about that a lot lately. But like lying to yourself.
yeah,
That is, if you can't trust yourself,
just say you're a hot mess. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Oh man, I'm a hot mess on the daily.
Yeah.
It just looks like I have my shit together.
Right. But people are so scared of not being a hot mess because of judgment, and it's
Well, and that's the other side of it, right? No one cares.
right.
No one cares what you're working on, what you're doing. They do not care. If you mess up, you start something, you're working on something, and you fail.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention to you. We all have our own crap that we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something people got to stop worrying about what other people think. That is
100.
huge, because that is your first step to improving yourself, because you're not going to make those changes because you're too afraid of what other people think.
And again, there's nothing scary about what other people think. If you've been like conditioned from your childhood, kids don't care what people think. Little kids,
no,
it was taught to you.
I love it when little kids are honest. I think it's funny.
I know you have to unlearn caring what people think, but it's wild how afraid everyone is because they've told you in a negative way, someone's not going to like you, and then you get that impression like, oh, that must be scary or bad. It's like, so how does that affect me?
And that was something I grew up with. I never felt like I could be myself because I like my family didn't make me feel like I could be myself, right? So that was something I had to grow out of, and that's something that I've worked on. And like now I could care less what anyone thinks. I mean, clearly I did this just to prove that the mess is a mess.
Like, say something.
But, yeah, I don't care. Like, you can judge me. I post on social media. I put stupid videos up all the time just talking, and I don't like, I get comments on there. Some people and their comments just like make me laugh, and I really want to engage sometimes, but then I'm like, why do that? But like
so they want to read their own comments and hear their own voice. And
and it's like people can hide behind a screen and say whatever they want, but I can tell you right now they wouldn't say it to your face.
Yep.
And so worrying about what other people think isn't worth it. It's not worth it, because everyone's going to have an opinion. I have an opinion. Mm-hmm. I look around sometimes and I judge things, and then I kick myself for judging that because
you don't have enough information. Really.
No, it's not even my
has nothing to
place.
Do with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would say that 98% of people would never even self-reflect to that level to even make those, whatever. I can't think of the word, but that's what the problem is. And that's like, back to education and stuff. We should be teaching that kind of thing. That's what I was doing with young moms. And it's what I try to, like explain my thought process and stuff so that other people, first of all, can trust me. So they might not like me. I don't care if you like me. I do want you to believe me, so I'm not going to like do everything I can to prove I'm not lying or whatever because I'm busy. But like, I truly do care what people think, as far as like, because of the role I have, that I want to be able to at least.
But you're a public figure, so that's a little different. Like,
but that could be with your family, your business, but it's not the same as like people liking you.
I feel like that's different. You're for those. I mean, family is family, right? Like that one.
Yeah.
It's situational, right? But like when it comes to a business, you're going after a certain demographic. If you don't want to attract the people that you don't want to deal with, then don't go after that demographic.
I guess I'm talking more like leadership. Maybe for your like employees.
But even then, hiring. Yeah. So now I have a great example of that too. So I work for a company called ACAP, Accounting and Advisors and Advisors and Accounting. But anyway, so the owner of the company, he focuses on building a good team. Mm-hmm. So there's no one on the team that you wouldn't want to lead.
100, but you also don't want them to think that you're like, if something ever looks, I think like perception is reality too. So you don't want your team to think you're shorting them the bonus or something. Like if it looks like that, it's worth trying to explain so they know and they trust you.
That's transparency, though, too.
Yeah.
It depends on how
I
transparent
guess that's another
you
way
want
to
be.
say it is
Yeah.
transparency. But then you also don't have to like tell everyone everything either.
But that's just people aren't owed
Yeah.
explanations. They're not. I mean, if you choose to explain it, you can explain it if you feel you need to explain it. But you don't owe someone an explanation. If you invited me to lunch and I said no, I don't have to tell you why.
Right. You could if you wanted to, but no is a full statement.
But I don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
My husband's really good at that.
I'm really good at that.
Just no.
I won't be doing that. Bye.
I'll type it out. Oh, so like somebody like sends me something and I'll type out a reason and then I'm like, why am I explaining this? And I erase it.
I appreciate it. Won't be doing it. Won't be happening.
Yeah, or I just can't.
It's a tough line to tiptoe. Like that, like wanting to, if you want to make a difference, if you want to have impact, then you have to have buy-in, public buy-in, but you also have to have boundaries so people don't think that they're owed everything. They have a question for you. I may or may not want to answer now or ever. So it is really a tough
well,
line.
And like you care to a point, right? Like you have to care like what general people like. I'm not trying to look. I'm not trying to look like a bum when I go out in public. So somebody's just like, ew. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like I just try to like be decent. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not trying to
First impressions matter.
Right, and like that's an image that I'm putting out there, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I don't want first impressions to be like, ugh. Mm-hmm. You know, like just stuff like that. But like, no matter what you do or how you do it, you will never please everyone.
Right.
So focusing on trying to please everyone is
just of energy.
100%. So like even your position, right? Like you're going to go out and you're going to run for something else and you're putting all of your views out there and you're telling them what changes you want to make and not everyone is going to agree.
Right.
So you have a good image that you put out there, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to try to please everyone.
100. And I'm okay with that. Yeah. And because I believe in like discourse and people having different opinions and there's always room for it. During my term on the board, it's like the first thing I did is I spearheaded the change to our new sex ed curriculum, which is, I guess if you're very right-wing, you wouldn't like that. I fully support it. It's a whole other thing, but medically accurate. It has more transparency, laws around like all parents being able to see the curriculum, having experts in the sex ed committee, updating it to include consent for younger kids. But then that like narrative gets taken to be like, oh, why are you teaching sex ed to, kindergartners? It's like, no one's teaching sex ed. We're teaching consent. So that later on when they're teenagers and you bring it back to consent, you're like, like that story we said when like you shouldn't grab anyone's jacket because you don't touch another person unless they say, sure, you can grab my jacket. Anyway, so then, I pissed off like a lot of Republicans. I'm nonpartisan, by the way. I don't like either party. But, I pissed off all the Republicans. Then COVID happens and there's the vaccine mandates. And I'm the only trustee that voted against mandatory vaccines for staff. Now I made the Democrats mad. And it's like the whole party line because these people adapt these ideologies and they like pledge allegiance to their party.
Right. That's the biggest problem, I think, when it comes to the parties, mm-hmm. right? Is if you can't solidly be on one side or the other.
Sometimes you need an approach that leans more conservative based on what you're supposed to believe in this camp. And sometimes you need to be more of this approach and it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like I could go back and forth. I could be leaning like I'm just going to do whatever is, again, best for most people, the next best step. Sometimes it's like the best, worst choice you can make, unfortunately. And I literally do not care about the party, but they always have like some sort of mindset. It's like the mind hive. And they've like claimed certain things, especially in education. If you believe this, then you're this, just the political labels. And mm-hmm. I really hope soon we see more like nonpartisan people running and getting elected. It's really hard to get nonpartisans elected here in Nevada because of our campaign laws, election laws. It's possible, but it's really leans towards both parties because of the way primary elections are. but we really need like nonpartisan candidates to run as well, and like actually fix things without caring about what group of people are going to be mad at you. Who cares? That's like what we're talking about, but like on a large scale.
Yep. Yeah,
it's all the same thing. It's like high school. First year, like doing in kindergarten, then high school. Now politics. Like
when you see it, you see it in like society too. Like you can tell when somebody's really strong one way or the other, right? And it both sides, and both are crazy.
100, 100. And truly, I'm like I don't like groups really. I don't like anything where you have to promise to believe this set of ideals. You know, like maybe I'll take something from that, maybe I'll take something from that. But I also think a lot of people, you know, one of our main things as humans is connection and needing to belong. And we don't have that anymore because we're not living in villages and we don't need to like stay together to, you know, not get attacked by the bear or whatever, which is the only reason why we're on the top of the food chain, because we go in groups and we communicate. Yep. But like so many people like are yearning for that, to where both political sides are like marketing. They're both like marketing firms, or they're like the team. Like, which team are you going to join? You don't have to join either one. It's okay. You can be like, maybe I'll come to your Christmas party. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll come to your barbecue. Like, it doesn't like matter, you know?
Yeah, it's insane. It's not much different. Like when they get that deep into it, it's almost like joining a cult.
It is. And then they both want you to be that, or you're kicked out.
Yes. Yeah. Otherwise you're judged. Like, I would say like I swing a little more conservative, but I also have more liberal like thoughts too. And like it meshes and there's somewhere in the middle. Like, you know, and like I'm not going to call myself a MAGA. Right.
Or even like, a conservative. Like you can say I lean more, whatever, but you shouldn't label yourself politically.
Because it doesn't matter. Like it matters on who the person is that's going to make the difference.
I'm probably the same as you, where I lean a little bit liberal, but a lot of the things I do and say make liberals mad, but then everyone will go, "Oh, you're a liberal." I'm like, I never said that. You said that.
And you're basing it off of one thing mentioned, not everything, right?
Because you see one thing and you think that I now have to be in this group, and you're the one who is creating this division, and you're just assuming that all of my beliefs are in this like little trademarked package that was given.
They put you in a box.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to be put in a box. Like, I'm very, very transparent in who I am and how I think, and definitely don't have a filter, and I just say it, and sometimes I probably shouldn't, but like, you're not putting me in a box.
And anyone who's in a box are not the kind of people who would ever be willing to change their minds. And you don't have to change your mind, but you should be willing to change your mind if presented with different information that is conflicting to your beliefs. And if you're not that kind of person, don't run for office, please. And you should look at that.
That's actually something with the podcast I was just talking to my husband about the other night. Like, I do want to get more people on that, like, have difference of opinions than me, and, like, be able to have that conversation and, like, you know, like, learn their side, listen to it, and just kind of engage. And it's a skill. It's a skill, and that I want to get better at.
And not just a skill, you know, the lowest form of knowledge is opinion. Opinion takes nothing. It's lazy. Empathy is it's hard work. You need all the information. Like, you could have an opinion. You could go, I think schools are bad. That's just my opinion. It doesn't matter. I'm entitled to my opinion. Okay.
Then you say why.
But yeah, what information are you basing this on? Is it the 20 years of data? Are you comparing it to all schools? Are you talking about a certain type? Are you talking about the teachers there, the students, the parents, the system? Like, and then they haven't thought through any of those. They just had one experience with a school. Maybe the principal was mean to them. Maybe their kid got an F on a test, and now the school is bad, and they're so forthright in their opinion, and they are entitled to their opinion. And literally anybody that goes, my opinion is whatever, it's like, you might as well be going, I don't know what I'm talking about, because you're not sharing facts. And then to get better is to learn all different sides, like you're saying, and that's how you get empathy. And empathy is the highest form of knowledge. To be able to fully understand something that you disagree with or don't understand,
Well, and
It's
it's
like
like,
meta.
it's also like one of those things, right? Like to be able to communicate and listen. Whether I agree or not, I should be able to listen to your opinion. And I think a lot of people can't do that, whether it's politics or
Mm-hmm.
not, no matter what it is. Like, so a lot of people can't listen to someone
To
else's,
understand,
yes,
not
to
just hearing
understand.
words.
Because I get it. Like, some people do have like difference of opinions on different subjects and stuff. And a lot of it's based off of something they experience. So listen to that,
Mm-hmm.
understand it. Maybe if you do still have something else to say, then you explain what you think. But like, you
Mm-hmm.
have to listen and understand before you can respond.
100. I actually was the only one, I think I was the only one on the board who actually enjoyed all of the public comment during meetings. Even though not really, because you have to sit there and everyone's yelling at you and telling you that you're stupid and that you hate kids and all these things. But I'm just always like, what? Why are they saying this? And what is their experience? And they're right based on what they're seeing. They don't know
Right.
all the things that I know and why we're making all these decisions.
They don't even know the system.
Right. And I mean, if you're like, I had someone call me anti oxygen because we wouldn't, they were all saying, you all need to say no masks in schools. And Trustee Ford is anti oxygen because she supports masks. Like, no, first of all, I like oxygen. Also, it's not up to me. That's not at my level to where I can decide whether or not anyone wears masks. I'm trying to decide how many bodies safely we can put in buildings and how many educators and staff we have that can accommodate it and where our funding is coming from because we have a budget shortfall. The mask is literally nothing to do with me. You're all just spending 4 hours yelling at me about it, but then I'm like fascinating. Like they're all so angry and they're over. Why are they here? Because now the news is only putting the school board hot on the center when they should be at the commissioners, like because they control the Southern Nevada Health Department, and that's who's determining whether you wear masks or not. Why are you yelling at me, threatening to slash my tires?
The entertainment was
Yeah.
at the school bar. That's why.
Oh my god! And there's so many people like well, and then like a lot of conservatives. Like I go back and forth, so I have like a lot of conservatives that will like super agree with me, but then I'll have a lot of like some MAGA that do because I'll say one thing that they agree with, and now they'll all be like, "Yeah, Trustee Ford." I'm like, please don't help. Like just let's just say what you're concerned about, and that's it. And I'll listen to you. But no, like even I feel like I'm really empathetic because I'm like interested in why you think that, and you're not. I don't think anyone is wrong. Everyone has their own information. Even like ISIS bombers, like they did a good job based on what they were told and their information and the goals and the results that they're going to get by doing that.
Right.
I can't even be mad at it. Now we could stop that certain ways by maybe getting information in front of them or something. I don't want that to happen. However, I can't opine on whether you were right or wrong because I have no idea what your life circumstances to get you to that thought process.
Yeah.
You know, like yeah, that's how I always try to approach everything and everybody. It's just like with like a really like logical lens. And empathy is actually logic. Like people think empathy is like feeling everyone's emotions. It's not. It's understanding everybody's like reasons and like things that make them move. And truly like there's only two driving forces. I've said this before at meetings. Two forces that will make anyone take action, and that is fear and hope. And fear is a really easy one. It's like low hanging fruit, and that's why the news is the way it is because you can motivate people to show up or yell or whatever, or not take an action. Like not voting is also like an action, and people like try to fear monger to control people when you also could provide hope and get that same exact result. But those are the only two things. People only will show up for you, speak for you, come on your podcast, do anything because they're either afraid of something or they're hopeful for something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's 100%. And I would say most everyone I've had on is like the hope side, right? Because you're not, if you're feared on something, you're usually not going to get in front of like a camera and talk to a bunch of people. But you do have a lot of those, tinfoil hat podcasts too. So
For sure. We should start judging our politicians, also our candidates. What are they telling me right now? Are they trying to lead me by fear or by hope?
Yeah.
That should be like a baseline.
Yeah.
And podcasts to listen to. What is this podcaster, what driving force, knowing that I am a human with a brain that only responds to these two driving forces, and this person knows it, are they trying to lead me by fear or by hope? Because I will follow somebody who leads me by hope.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a very simple way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to truly do that is to trust yourself and
Mm-hmm.
then your decisions, right? Because like now you're trusting your intuition to know if this is fear or hope.
Right. And you only have like your own experiences and things to even use that as like a measuring gauge. This is all really deep.
We've been going for a hot minute. I think it's been like 2 hours.
Wow.
Yep. Oh man.
That was fast.
It went fast. I mean, we're just really good at talking. We talked
both,
about this.
Really smart women. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just saying what it is. Like, if there was just like 100 of us, we could go and like fix at least the state.
We could start with the state. I don't know
about
the
world. Let's start. Definitely the state. Yeah.
Yeah. At least start there. Maybe we just need to round them all up and then just go. Everyone sign up.
Maybe we can make like an application or something. Like, you have these exact qualities: messy, hopeful, thought leader, critical thinker.
Live by the truth.
Yeah, not like subscribe to a party, but like your own opinions. Like, let's talk.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm down for it.
Well, we can wrap this one up if you want, and then maybe we'll do another one, and we can talk about something. We can even talk about something else.
Anytime. Yeah, this was great.
This was the fastest 2 hours I think yet. So
I can't believe it was 2 hours.
That went by
wild.
So fast.
Wow.
So, well, thank you for coming on, telling your story, and educating people on how even to sign up to become a candidate. Like, that is huge, and anyone who listens and wants to do it should go for it.
Yeah, and anybody who's like watching, just tell other people that that's a thing. Like, we don't need the news to tell us, I guess. Just like, if everybody knows that in March of 2026, you can walk into the government center with approximately $50 to $100 in your ID, and now you're a political candidate, like, that would be good. Even if one person who wasn't going to run runs, like, that would make me really happy.
We need good people.
Mm-hmm.
And we need people that are relatable.
And that care.
And that will think.
Yeah, care
for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Care and think, honestly. Like, I can take imperfect. I can't take uncaring.
And your imperfections are what makes you relatable.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you got one piece of advice you want to end on?
Oh, God, but which topic?
Any topic.
Thinking through honestly, just like, be okay with yourself. That sounds like super basic, and I have a lot of like really deeper quotes I could give you and things, but anything you're going to do in this world, you need to like clear all the crap in your head out. And you can't show up fully you unless it can be messy. Yeah. And you can only show up like as you are right now. You do not wait for the perfect time. Like, whatever thing you want to do, like, you're already there. It's okay. Yeah.
Yep. I like that. Perfection is not, you're never going to get there. You're never going to have perfection in anything. So,
right. And,
embrace it.
Even better, you don't have to be better than you are right now. You just have to care and think.
We get better day by day.
Yeah.
As long as you're working towards being a better version of yourself, you get better day by day. And so take it one day at a time, and don't let perfection stop you from taking action.
Right. It's the enemy of good, perfection's the enemy of good, I think. Just do your best. Oh, the 4 agreements. I guess I'll recommend that. Is like, I love the 4 agreements. It's just, do your best. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. And then what was the other one?
I haven't read that book in so long.
But do your best is honestly the best one, because it's like, whatever your best is right now is enough. It might be only 30%. If you only have 30%, then that's your best. It's okay.
Every day is different, right? So
yeah, it's a great book. Well, thank you so much. This is wonderful. And I wish you the best for this podcast. I'm happy to come back on anytime you want. And people should be listening to this because you have a lot of insight to share. And I hope that you keep on interviewing different types of people, but especially those who are in leadership that we really need to question them, and we need to make sure those who are leading us have the right intentions and that they care and think.
Well, if you know anyone, let me know.
I could send you lots of people.
All right. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm down.
Because I'm going to give you a list of questions for them.
Yes, please do.
All right, here we go.
Do it. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Bye.